Yo, what up? I just got back from. I just woke up. I went to the shops where all the shelves were empty. I bought myself a little energy drink to wake me. Let's have a little chat. Last night, I was chilling. Um, I was trying to finish. I was trying to finish the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls anime, and I was enjoying it. It's a good show. Um, Then I made the terrible, no good, horrible mistake of going to the toilet. Went to the toilet and I opened up YouTube Shorts on my phone, as I often am wont to do. This was a terrible, terrible mistake. See, the thing about YouTube Shorts is 90% of the time it's fine. I open it up while I'm pissing, while I'm shitting, while I got a couple of dead minutes. Scroll for a second. When I'm done, I put it away. Everything's fine. 90% of the time it's like that. But 10% of the time, one in 10 times, it nukes me. I just keep scrolling. 1 in 10 times I'm not immune to propaganda. It just hits that little part of my brain that just shuts off all my reasoning abilities. That I'm like, I'm not even enjoying this, Because, like, I've said on this channel before, and I still stand by it, that there's nothing, like, fundamentally wrong about short form videos themselves. The issue is the algorithmic scrolling format. But there's nothing wrong with, like, vertical videos, nothing wrong with short form videos as a concept on their own. And I actually wrote a blog post about how you could do it right, theoretically. A theoretical format for distributing vertical short form videos that could be actually pretty good. But I digress. Whatever had happened to me yesterday, it hit that button in my brain that just switches off all of my reasoning capacities. And I just kept fucking scrolling. And it wasn't like I was even showing me interesting things. It was just like clips from The Sopranos. Like, it was just fucking, hey, gabagool, fucking brajoles, kick him in his brajoles, fucking gabagool, Sopranos clips. And fucking, it's just Sopranos, Game of Thrones, and fucking, uh, uh, the fucking Giga Chad meme. What's that? Peaky Blinders. I don't even give a fuck about any of those shows, by the way. Um, and I definitely don't give a fuck about watching 1 minute long clips from those shows. Like, I would never sit down in my own time and go be like, I want to watch a series of disconnected 1 minute clips from The Sopranos. A show that I've never seen. Like, I would never do that. But for some reason, I was tired. I was gonna go to sleep soon, and it just hit me in the brain. And there's other stuff, of course, but yeah, like fucking, I don't know how long I kept scrolling. It just turned off all of the reasoning centers in my brain, and there I was just scrolling until I realized what I'd been doing. And who knows how much time had passed, but it ended up being the case that by the time I stopped, put my fucking phone away, put YouTube away, and go back to watching the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, that I wasn't going to have time to finish the show before I had to go to sleep. Now, I don't know if I would have finished the show before I went to sleep in any case, but I definitely would have watched more episodes. You know, I don't know. It definitely would have been a better use of my time. I would have enjoyed it more if I'd spent that 20 minutes watching an episode. I don't know, I'm saying 20 minutes. It could have been 3 hours for all I fucking know. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been 20. I have no idea. Time just stopped mattering. And this happens to me sometimes. And it happens to me rarely, but frequently, if you know what I mean. Because I'm rolling the dice a lot, because every time I go to the toilet or whatever, every time I have like a couple minutes to kill, a minute to kill, I have no other social media on my phone, so the only thing I have is YouTube Shorts. It's like if I just watch regular YouTube, an ad is going to take up the entire time. So, it's not good, is my basic point. I was really mad at myself after that. I was really mad at myself. I was like, how can I allow, like, it's not like, there are some good videos on the YouTube Shorts platform. There's a guy that makes good videos about traditional woodworking, an Irish guy, I forgot his name, I think it's Owen something. He's great, There's a guy, uh, there's a few linguistics focused channels that I think are pretty great. Uh, there's some genuinely good stuff on there. But that's not what I was fucking watching. That's not what it was showing me. It was showing me, hey, gabagool! Whack that guy, Tony! That's what it was fucking showing me. Like, I don't care about that. Why did I keep watching that? I don't know. I felt very disappointed in myself. I felt very ashamed of myself. The fact that happened to me. And then I started thinking, like, how much fucking time have I wasted in my life watching YouTube in general? Watching YouTube. Now, I like YouTube. I'm subscribed to like 700 different YouTube channels, and I feel like I've cultivated actually a pretty good subscription feed. I never use the algorithm. I very, very rarely use any of the recommendation features. I never use the homepage. I always use the sub feed. You know, and I feel like I've cultivated a pretty damn good sub feed where most of the stuff I'm watching is genuinely interesting. It's not just slop. I will occasionally watch slop, but most of the stuff, I think everyone needs a break from time to time. There's nothing wrong with a bit of slop from time to time. I don't think I'm not saying every single thing you ever do should be like highly mentally engaging because you can't keep that up for your whole life. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of slop. I think my YouTube feed is actually pretty good. I think it's pretty good. It's like mostly intellectually engaging content. Even if it's not all like infotainment stuff. There's like fucking Minecraft channels and shit. There's fucking Team Fortress 2 channels. It's not like every fucking channel is a philosophy essay, but those things are interesting and I think they're well made and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But every day, every fucking day, the first thing I do when I wake up is open up my YouTube subscriptions feed. The last thing I do before I go to sleep is open up my YouTube subscriptions feed to find a video to fall asleep to. Every day, I spend so much time watching YouTube. I am like a hardcore YouTube addict. And I just want to see, can I go one day without opening YouTube a single time? Which is what I'm doing today. I'm gonna not touch YouTube all day. I thought about this while I was falling asleep, and I thought that's not worth it. It's gonna suck. What am I gonna do when I'm eating? What am I gonna do when I'm falling asleep? I woke up today and I went to go open up YouTube and I thought back to last night as I was falling asleep and I thought, no, you know what? I'm gonna fight back. I'm gonna fight back just a little bit. I'm gonna fight back inside my head. I'm gonna fight the addiction. I'm gonna fight the whatever the fuck. I'm not gonna open up YouTube today. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Now, I'm aware that the hypocrisy is I'm currently making a YouTube video about how I'm not going to use YouTube, which is definitely a bit of a strange thing to do. It's definitely a bit hypocritical. I don't know. You can make your own decisions about that. But let's see. I'm not a perfect person. Play the clip. Thank you. You know, I got addictions to YouTube as well as much as anyone else does, and I think it's a problem. And I think I've deleted all my other social medias. I've deleted all my other social medias, and I'm pretty happy with it. Right? I feel like it's improved my life. But over the time, I've never even considered being able to get away from YouTube. I thought YouTube is so strictly ingrained in my life. Every time I eat a meal, I watch a YouTube video. I'm watching YouTube all the time. They're like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to break this, get away from YouTube. Like the best I can do is to maximize my privacy while I'm watching YouTube through various means that I can't mention on YouTube because they'll kill this video. But if you know, you know. But I'm never gonna be able to actually stop watching YouTube. And I still don't think I will be. But like one day, can I manage one day? Surely I can manage one day. Now, am I going to sort of cheat a little bit? Maybe. Because I suspect I'm not going to go all day without watching anything. I think I'll probably end up watching a lot of anime. I'll finish Cinderella Girls, and I'll probably watch another anime today. Um, this is what I've been theorizing. So likely I'll watch a lot of anime. Likely I'll listen to at least one podcast off of YouTube on another website. Is that acceptable? I don't know, but I'll try it. Likely I'll read through all my blogs, read through a bunch of blogs. If I end up still having time left over after that, which I probably will, maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I'll play some video games. Maybe I'll listen to some music, all off of YouTube, of course. Maybe I'll who knows? Who knows what I'll do? But that's where we got to get creative. The only things I'm worried about are one things I'm worried about is meals and falling asleep. That's it. Everything else I'll be fine for. But I don't like to watch anime while I'm eating because you have to, I don't like reading subtitles while I'm eating. It's kind of annoying. I don't really like, I like to fall asleep to a YouTube video. But I think I could find other things to fill these gaps. For example, what I would say, a great thing to fall asleep to is the shipping forecast, the BBC shipping forecast. If you've never tried this, by the way, go look this up on YouTube. The BBC shipping forecast. Great thing to fall asleep to. The problem is, I don't know where to find it other than YouTube. So, hey, we'll have to look into that, I suppose. Yeah, who knows? Let's give this a try. I'm gonna go make some bacon and eggs. I'm gonna make some bacon and eggs for breakfast because I'm Americanized. That's not true. It's cause this they just happened. There wasn't that much supply lines. Supply lines are all breaking down. Society is collapsing. There wasn't that much food in the store. They had bacon and they had eggs. So bacon and eggs it is.
But yeah, that reversibility of seeing and being seen, touching and being touched.
I'm eating bacon sandwich. Classic food. And I'm listening to the Pill Pod on patreon.com, not on youtube.com. I think we may be witnessing something I call the death of the page turner. If you look at the way social media algorithms, short form video algorithms, and so on, are designed to keep you scrolling, it reminds me very much of the same sort of feeling I get when I'm watching a normie tier TV show or reading a normie tier book. Let's say, and this is not to say that those are necessarily bad. Okay, let's just be clear about this. I'm not insulting them because I'm going to bring up, I'm going to steel man it. I'm going to bring up the best possible example I can think of, which is Hunter x Hunter. When I watched Hunter x Hunter anime, every episode ends on a cliffhanger. Even if the actual contents of an episode is just something as boring as why did Killua decide to turn around instead of going down a particular corridor. There's a whole episode dedicated to that in the Chimera Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter. One of the best things ever made. I'm sure we all agree. Even that ends on a cliffhanger. Like every fucking episode of Hunter x Hunter ends on a cliffhanger, which is why it is like the most marathonable show ever made. If you compare that to the opposite, which would be like a very, very episodic show, where every episode has a solid beginning, middle, and end, and a conclusion. There are certain books that I've read a lot of books do this really fucking frustrating thing, which is so frustrating while you're reading it, but it's very effective at getting you to keep reading. I remember reading books as a kid that did this, where it's like, okay, you have multiple main characters, you have multiple perspectives, right? Or you have like an A plot and a B plot, or an A plot and a B plot and a C plot, right? And you'll read one chapter, and you'll be reading the chapter, and then it will be like, it ends, something just happened. Oh shit, what's going to happen next? Big cliffhanger. And the next chapter is the B plot. We leave them behind, and you're like, fuck, I want to know what happened to those guys. And then you have to read through the entire next chapter before you get back when it goes back to the A plot, right? And then that chapter ends with a cliffhanger. And so it's like this addictive pattern that keeps you reading because you want to know what happens next. This style of formatting of a narrative, where it's very addicting, it very much makes you want to keep reading. It's not just cliffhangers. There's more to it than that. It's just the basic premise of intrigue. Like, it turns out, we couldn't have possibly known this, but it turns out that this, like, one more page thing, one more chapter before I go to bed, this thing is actually completely disconnected from narrative storytelling as a concept, and has nothing to do with the quality of your narrative, because it turns out that it's some sort of psychological process that can be replicated by an app. When you're scrolling Twitter, when you're scrolling Instagram, when you're scrolling TikTok, when you're scrolling YouTube Shorts, when you're scrolling whatever, it turns out just one more scroll. I just want to see what, it's basically, when you use these algorithmic social media platforms, you'll notice something. It's the case in all of them. You might be sitting there thinking, like, well, these algorithms clearly suck because, half of what these things show me is completely uninteresting to me. It's the case for me on YouTube, whatever. Clearly they haven't built a good picture of me because they're recommending me bullshit that I would never possibly watch, right? I'm sure, I guarantee, if you're on any form of social media, or if you have been on any form of social media, you've experienced this, where the algorithm is showing you shit that you're like, why would I have no interest in this? Or, this is just garbage. Maybe it's vaguely tangentially related to something I'm interested in, but it's just garbage, right? Like, people think that there's a flaw in the algorithm, but it's actually done on purpose. It turns the act of scrolling into a slot machine. If everything you saw was just high quality posts, you would get in, you'd read through the number of high quality posts that you are interested in for that day, and then you'd leave, right? But if instead, every time you scroll to a new screen, you're spinning the slot machine, you're pulling the one-armed bandit, for a chance to see a high quality post, it keeps you addicted, it keeps you engaged. This is designed like this on purpose. If they purposefully show you slop and bad shit, they do it on purpose because they want to get you addicted to it. It turns out this feeling of, oh, just one more episode, oh, just one more page, one more chapter, one more game, one more scroll. This addictive page turner feeling is a psychological process disconnected from the quality of a narrative, and has now been turned against us. It's been turned against us in order to harvest our data and keep us on meta meat space, techno-feudalist, garbage, dogshit platforms for longer and ruin our lives. And so I think we need to be paying more attention to media that doesn't do this, to art that doesn't do this, that doesn't make any attempt to do this, to keep you coming back in an addictive sort of way. That's the since it turns out that process of that page turner process is actually perfectly hijackable it's completely hijackable, um, and completely disconnected. So a lot of people they think that, well, if I watched this thing and it kept me engaged the whole time, and I constantly was intrigued and wanted to know what happens next, that must be a good narrative. They come away from it and they're like, wow, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I really wanted to know what happens next. It was a real page turner. This is a positive. This is a compliment. But perhaps it turns out that this is a neutral statement. I'm not going to say it's bad, but this is a neutral statement. Perhaps it is. I'm not going to say it's bad, but I might say it's dangerous. It can be misused. And maybe we should value art more that doesn't do this. Like a very, I don't know if I want to say formative, but an important experience that I had in my life was watching the movie Tokyo Story. Tokyo Story is one of my favorite films. But one thing I noticed while I was watching it is that it was fairly boring. It's very much a mundane story about the everyday life of a group of people. It's very, very, very slow. It's very beautiful. It's incredibly well directed, well shot. Ozu is maybe my favorite director of all time. His cinematography is. I mean, you don't need me to explain it to you. I really like that style that movie has, and I think it's an incredible movie, while at the same time being really boring. And that's what came out. That was what had a strange effect on me when I finished watching the movie, and I came out the other side of the movie, and I was like, wow, like that movie, that film really fucking had an effect on me. Like that made me rethink a lot of my attitudes in life. It made me consider my own future, the idea of growing old, the relationship of different generations to each other, like all of that sort of thing. Like what to put it in a kind of a cheesy way, it made me think a bit about the meaning of life. It made it. I came with that movie with a different frame of mind that I had never even considered before. Um, it really had an impact on me. And yet, at the same time, while I was watching it, I was bored. And I'm not going to lie about it and say I wasn't bored. I was fucking bored because it's just a bunch of people talking and it's really fucking slow. And, there's a lot of silence and dead air and nothing very interesting happens in the movie. While at the same time, I came out of it thinking that was an extremely profound experience. Maybe, and that kind of reframed a lot of stuff in my mind for me. That reframed a lot of attitudes for me. Like, how can it possibly be? It turns out perhaps that perhaps, and I'm not going to make any bold statements here, but I'm just theorizing. Perhaps that boredom versus engagement is not actually a necessary contingency for the quality of a work. It's possible. It's possible. A work could be highly engaging while being low quality, or bad in other ways. And a work could be not engaging at all. It could be quite boring while being extremely high quality. This was something I've never considered before. If the idea of a page turner can be hijacked, can be reproduced by corporations and machines and algorithms, then, separate from any idea of artistic expression, then of what use is it as artistic expression? Should we value it? in the same way that we have valued it. You know, if you go into a piece of art and your idea of it being a success is you think, wow, that was a real page turner, then you may as well have just scrolled Twitter for 90 minutes. Is that I'm throwing it out there. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but it's a thought I've been having. Just keeping me engaged is not enough. In fact, the fact that Tokyo Story was kind of boring. The fact that Tokyo Story was kind of boring. It was edited with very, very long cuts. There's not much. There's like one movie. Like the camera does not move in that movie, which I think is incredible. I think it's, again, I want to point out, this is my favorite cinematography maybe ever. The camera has there's like one pan in the entire movie. Like there's nothing there to get a little ding 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 ding. Ooh, like when you look at a lot of films and they're just shooting a dialogue scene and they'll have the camera just like very slowly do this while the character's talking. Yeah, so I think blah, 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 right? And the camera's just slowly doing this, or it's slowly zooming in, right? Like, I'm having my conversation, the camera's like, oh, just to add a little visual interest. Like maybe the fact that there wasn't this visual interest movement. Oh, you gotta add some movement. You gotta add some visual interest. Maybe the fact that there wasn't this put me in a mind state where I could be more introspective while I was watching Tokyo Story. Because I was bored, my mind started wandering, and I started thinking about the themes of the film in a way that, if I was being fully stimulated, I wouldn't have done. Maybe that's something to explore. And maybe that's why I like Slice of Life so much, because it gives me that room. Maybe. Think about that, eh? In fact, I can relate this to one more thing. I think this is very relevant to my complete lack of interest in third-person action puzzle platformer movie games, AAA movie games, like the the modern God of War franchise, or The Last of Us, or whatever the fuck, when I see people playing these games, I can tell what's going on in their head. They watch a cutscene, the cutscene is interesting because they like the plot, and then the cutscene ends, and they do the next thing. They go to a place, because this is how it always works. It's like, then you go to the place through the big open world, and then you go to the quest marker, and then you do the little action scene, the little generic third-person combat thing. And then you do the little puzzle to break up the flow, and you do another third-person little combat thing. And then you get to watch another cutscene. And it's like, when you watch people play these games, and when you play these games yourself, the gameplay is not very interesting. You have this extrinsic motivation where you're like, I wanna see what happens next. You're not playing through the stupid fucking puzzles, which are barely even puzzles, because it's a fun puzzle game. You're playing through them because you're like, well, I want to see what happens in the next cutscene. I want to know where the story goes. You're not playing through the stupid generic fucking combat because you think that this is like really, really clever third-person shooter combat design with melee brawl beat 'em up elements. It's not. It hasn't been since Uncharted 1. You're doing it because you're like, well, I want to see what happens in the next cutscene. It's kind of like an extrinsic motivation. Whereas with games that have either where the narrative isn't told through cutscene, where the narrative is baked into the game environment, or maybe like a Doom situation where there's not much narrative at all. Besides the game, like there's less. I'm thinking about everything from there's a lot of game genres where the narrative is baked more into the game. And I'm not talking about ludonarrative dissonance here, because I'm not talking about a disconnect between what you're doing and what the narrative is saying you're doing, how you're feeling as a player versus how the narrative says you should be feeling. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a thing. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the um the fact that actually a lot of times people don't even give a fuck about the gameplay and they just care about the narrative, and the narrative serves as a sort of extrinsic motivation to get you through the shitty gameplay. Versus, like, let's say a game like I don't know, maybe some of these like ImSims, right? Like you play through fucking Marathon, right? Marathon's an ImSim. Am I thinking of Marathon or am I thinking of a different game? System Shock? No, System Shock. Whatever. Let's say System Shock. You play through System Shock, and it's like then that game famously has a good narrative. But the narrative of the game is also told just as much through, like, you stumble across a console and you read a little log, right? This is like the classic fucking ImSim thing, like finding voice logs everywhere, finding little terminals with like people's diaries on them and shit, right? And that becomes tied into the exploration that game, those sorts of games are all about. Like the narrative is turned into a resource among ammo and health and upgrades and so on. Like in that sense, it's more tied into the gameplay. Or you look at a game like Half-Life 1, where at the beginning of the game, it does the stupid, retarded Half-Life 2 thing where it locks you in a room. It's like, we don't do any cutscenes, but we will lock you in a room where you have no choice but to watch NPCs do stuff. And this is like not a cutscene somehow. Fucking stupid, fucking Half-Life 2 bullshit. But then after that, after the first chapter, never does that again, except for like one time, which is there is one cutscene in Half-Life 1. It's very, very short. It's when you get knocked out. It's about like 30 seconds long. But other than that, the rest of the narrative in Half-Life 1 is all told as environmental storytelling, or whatever you want to call it, right? Um, and it's the same a lot of times with like JRPGs and RPGs in general. But like a lot of the narrative of JRPGs, I think this is one of the reasons why I didn't like this. It's not that I didn't like it. That's too strong of words. But this is one of the problems I had when I was playing Dragon Quest XI, which is that there's so many fucking cutscenes in that game. Um, like what I liked is when bits of the narrative come about when you're wandering around a town speaking to NPCs. That's cool. We love that. We love that bit. We don't like the bit where the game is like, go to this place and then watch a cutscene, and then go to this place and watch a cutscene. That's fucking stupid. Uh, this kind of, this is another example of this like page turneriness where people come away from playing The Last of Us or whatever the fuck, and they're like, that must have been a good game because I like the story. But it turns out it wasn't a good game. You just watched the TV show, which is why it translates so well into a TV show. Apparently, I've never watched The Last of Us TV show. I'm not interested in watching The Last of Us TV show. Like try making. Go ahead. Try making a TV show out of Half-Life. You can't do it. The main character doesn't fucking speak. Try making a fucking TV show out of Trackmania. Good luck. Good luck. Try making a Trackmania Nations Forever TV show. Good luck. Good luck with that one. It's not gonna fucking happen. Some of the best games of all time. Some of the best games of all time. Like the fact that these games, they require extrinsic motivation via like, hey, you can fucking get to see what happens next in the plot. Like, I don't play fucking Mario Kart 64 because I want to know what happens next in the plot. I play Mario Kart 64 because I'm trying to I'm fucking owning you, because I'm owning my friend who's sitting next to me on fucking DK Circuit, and I'm destroying you because I know the shortcut and you fucking don't, bitch. Because I opened up an emulator I spent 3 hours learning the shortcut so I could do it consistently every time, and you fucking didn't. And now I'm destroying you in Mario Kart 64 because of that. Get fucked, you know. And that's real video games. That's real fucking video games. There you go, real video games. Real everything is it's kind of this intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation thing is related to this like page turnerism, right? Like that intrigue can be, it's not always, let's be clear here, I'm saying dangerous, not bad, pay attention to that distinction, can be a form of extrinsic motivation that compensates for the fact that the content is shit. The actual narrative is shit. The actual gameplay is shit. Anything else, you know, when you're scrolling social media, the actual fucking posts are garbage, right? But that doesn't matter because you have these little ding 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 things that keep you going. You know, what's really impressive is when I can watch a movie, be bored the entire time, and come away thinking that was one of the most profound experiences of my entire life. That is a masterpiece. Fuck! I fucked up! Man! I fucked up. I was having a conversation with Doltsmate. I wanted to post... Have you guys ever seen this video of Lemmy from Motorhead responding to a letter he got from a black fan? And he says, when he's responding to it, he's like, we all gotta fuck each other and intermarry until we all become like coffee colored. And I was...
You cannot be just one colour. If the bloody thing is ever going to work out properly, then we all have to intermarry and screw each other blind and get to be coffee-ish. But then we'd still find people that were lighter than those guys, right? You can't win with that one, but you can win by just doing it.
I was trying to remember the quote, so I just looked it up. The video of him saying, I fucking forgot I'm not supposed to watch YouTube. So I just fucking watched that video of Lemmy. I mean, look. It's not as bad as it could have been, okay? That wasn't a video that was made for YouTube. That video existed decades before YouTube existed. But it's not good. I fucked up. I immediately failed. I'm gonna keep going though. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep not watching YouTube. We'll survive somehow. So it's been most of the day. I'll probably be awake for another 3-4 hours. But let me tell you what I've been up to. So mostly I've just been watching anime. I finished the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, which I thought was pretty good. Nowhere near as good as season 1 of the Idolmaster. Like not even in the same realm, not even in the same reality. But I still thought it was pretty good. The first half of the show, less good than the second half of the show. For some reason, AniList counts them as 2 separate seasons, but when you're watching the show, it just, episode numbers per episode that show up on screen count it as just one continuous 2-core season. But anyway, I watched that and the OVA. And yeah, it was pretty good. Anzu, obviously, Anzu-chan is the best girl. That goes without saying. But yeah, I don't have that much to say about it, to be honest. I started watching, what is it, U149? Yeah, the next season of Idolmaster, U149, which is pretty good also. Pretty slice of lifey, chill, sort of thing I'm into, you know, my sort of relaxing slice of lifey shows. Then I caught up on all of my blogging needs, you know, checked all of my RSS feeds, caught up on all the blogs, just like I normally would. Checked a couple of boards, and forum, whatever. Listen to a podcast about Buddhist philosophy and Merleau-Ponty. I don't know anything about Merleau-Ponty, but that was kind of interesting. On Patreon, I listened to that on Patreon because I Patreon that podcast, the Pill Pod, if you're wondering. And I've been reading some manga. I've been reading, instead of opening YouTube Shorts, I've been reading this manga, which is called Kurasu no Inkya Ojo-sama no Shitsuji ni Narimashita. Which is pretty good. It's like one of those like self-published Pixiv, like each chapter is just one page, like one page at a time published, like Pixiv manga. And I like it a lot, actually. I was introduced to it by the YouTube channel Overworked Salaryman, which is a great channel. If you're interested, if you want to find a good YouTube channel, check out Overworked Salaryman. He likes it. He has generally pretty good taste, so I checked it out, and I have to say it's pretty good. Nothing mind-blowing, but pretty cute. And I also was reading another manga, which is this one. It's called it's like it's some bullshit. Okay, it's just some bullshit. Don't worry about it. I've been trying to make an effort to read a bit more manga. I feel like my manga, I'm kind of not deep enough on the manga side of things, Like, I've been thinking, I mean, look, I like anime. I like visual novels. But I also like manga, but I don't read that much manga. Oftentimes when I do read manga, I read the manga version of shows I've already seen. Or, like, oftentimes, weirdly, I tend to read manga and then they get turned into anime. I mean, I've definitely read a lot of manga that hasn't gotten turned into anime, but I kind of want to get a bit deeper into the sort of self-published, I guess, like doujin manga, web manga scene. Because that stuff's pretty cool. I just think, I don't know, it's just cool. It's just neat. I like it. And a lot of good manga start off that way, like Onimai started off as a self-published doujin. I feel like we're very separated from the doujin scene in the West, and that used to be a pretty impossible barrier to cross unless you literally went to Comic-Con. But now, most doujin manga, at least a lot of them, are published digitally, so it's not too hard to access, and a surprising amount of them do get translated. And even if they don't, I think it's been a number of years. I bet machine translation is good enough these days. I bet if you fucking took a picture, a screenshot of a panel and pasted it into Google Translate, it would be fine. I kind of want to try that, to be honest. I'm not going to bother, but like maybe that would work. I don't know. Anyway, doujin manga, kind of cool. And then what else did I get up to? Chatted with Osaka Syndrome for a little bit on Discord and played a couple of rounds of Team Fortress 2. I didn't even particularly enjoy. Like, I haven't really been enjoying TF2 recently. I haven't really been playing TF2 recently. I only booted it up because I needed something to do with my hands while I was talking to Osaka. I don't know. I need to fiddle with something. So I figured I'd just boot up TF2. But when we I didn't play for longer than while I was just having a conversation. But yeah, I need to get more into manga. I've always respected people who are super into manga. Like Dotsmite. Dotsmite is like the most into manga. Like, when you think of Dotsmite, you don't think of typically like an otaku, like a hardcore otaku. Like, Dotsmite doesn't present themselves as like a hardcore otaku. But Dotsmite has read more manga than anyone I've ever met. Like Dotsmay is a super fucking hardcore manga reader. Like I don't know, I don't know anyone who's read more manga than they have. It's kind of fucking insane how much manga they've read. Like it's not like way more than me, not even close. Thousands. And I respect the hell out of that, and I need to get on that level. But yeah, I did technically fail this challenge because I looked at that one video of Lemmy talking about something without even thinking. So I did technically fail this challenge. But honestly, like for most of the day, it hasn't been so bad. The only time when I was actually like, damn, I kind of wish I could watch YouTube right now is when I was eating. It's nice to have a YouTube video to watch while you're eating. Instead, I was listening to this podcast, and I guess it was fine. It was not going to kill me or anything. But it was kind of, I kind of wished I was watching a YouTube video. And then the only other time is like now, because I've been watching anime and reading manga all day, and reading blogs and reading. So basically, I've just been reading all day. Like I've been reading subtitles, reading manga, reading blogs, reading posts, like just a lot of reading, and I'm getting kind of tired. Like I kind of just want to do something else that isn't reading, but I don't have anything to do that isn't reading. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. It would be kind of nice to. It wasn't like I found it hard to sit down and watch some anime. It's kind of pretty used to doing that. But yeah, I am getting a little tired of reading. Kind of wish I could sit back and put on a YouTube video right now, but I cannot. I will stick with this challenge. It's only one day. It's not a big deal. Tomorrow I will catch up on my YouTube subscriptions or whatever. But yeah, I recommend you try this, guys. It is quite. I mean, honestly, it didn't make much of a difference. I just spend the day watching anime. Mostly, I just spend the day watching anime, which is like something I would have done anyway. So apparently, it didn't make that much of a difference. Apologies for the blackness. I'm literally falling asleep right now. What have we learned from today? Well, I'm going to be honest. I feel like we've learned that YouTube is not really a very negative impact on my life. I feel like it's fine. Because without it, it wasn't really that hard. I just watched anime all day. I felt like I'd be fine. It just made eating meals kind of boring. And that's pretty much it. And it meant that I couldn't like take a break from watching anime and reading manga and stuff. Like I wanted to be able to take a break, like watch a YouTube video and come back, so I didn't like burn out of reading just all day. Which I feel like is very reasonable. So it turns out that like real regular YouTube is like fine, I think, for me. For me personally, with my particular feed. But YouTube Shorts, definitely bad. And YouTube Shorts... What is that noise? I'm sure it's nothing. YouTube Shorts must have been the wind. Is bad. And maybe I'm gonna have to delete the YouTube app off my phone.